Eating something that smells delicious. Oh, this is loud.
Right here. She's
Smells really good.
doing it to all of us.
All right, good for you. I'm not sure why, but boy, I sure do have a lot of sound reverb, don't I?
Yeah, you are stereo.
Let's see if we can turn this down.
I'm controlling that.
Oh, he's going to turn it down for us. Turn it down for us. It's really lots of noise, lots of sound. There, that's better. All right. Does anybody know if we're waiting for anyone? Anybody who's not here? Seems like they ought to be here. Some of your coworkers that you said, they're going. All right, we're going to get started. It's 11:30, or just after, just on. So hi, everybody. Great to see you. I haven't been here in Hutch for a while. I'm Jane. I'm one of the nurses at Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I'm a nurse, so I said that, and a health educator. My job at Blue Cross is the best job ever. I get to travel all over the state of Kansas and work with groups that are doing something to focus on wellness. And you guys have done that for a long time here. You are rock stars. And really my purpose is to help a group think about what can we do better, what can we do differently, what can we bring more attention to, how do we surround our employees with the opportunity, the knowledge, the skills, the whatever, to help them be healthier. Now, my most critical, I think, piece of all of this is I think it's really hard to maintain healthy behaviors. You know what to do. In fact, do you have one thing that you either know you ought to do, try to keep doing, do differently in order to feel like you're meeting your own health goals? Do you know one thing that you either ought to do, you ought to do more of, you ought to do differently? Why don't you do it? Why don't we do it? It's hard. It's hard. That's the biggest answer. That's the best answer, is it's hard. Our society, our work, our culture, our communities doesn't make it easy. And that's what is the big barrier for all of us is it's not knowledge, quite honestly. I mean, it could be a little piece of knowledge. I could probably know more about healthy eating. I could probably know more about what happens when I sleep. I could know more. I could have more skills, but that's not really what keeps me from doing those things I know I ought to do. I don't do them because stuff gets in the way, and it's hard. So I think that's one of the most important things for us to spend just a few minutes when I come to town thinking about, why is this important? Why is it important to be healthy? What's important to you? What do you want in life? For what? Why do you want to live longer? Yeah, we want to all live longer. Why? To be with your family. It's always number one, really. To be with your friends, your family, your spouse, your partner, your best friend, your kids, your grandkids. Pick any of those, right? We have people in our lives, and I mean, that's probably for most of us the most important part. Now, I want you to think, because we're going to talk about holidays. So think about the holidays. What's most important at the holidays? People, right? It's family, and I'm going to talk about for some of us, it might be families inaccessible, but it's family, friends, it's people, that's really what you're hoping to get. Now, think about your relationship with those important people in your life, and do this for yourself right now. Picture someone you're hoping to see over the holidays, going to see over the holidays, get to spend time with, again, family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, whatever. Now, picture that if you're not healthy. If you just don't feel like being there, and this could be mental health as well, right? It could be depression. But you just don't want to be there. You know, you wish you did, or you just don't feel like it, you don't have the energy, or maybe something really serious is happening and you're in the hospital, but you're not there. You're not part of that because of your health. What's that change? It changes everything, right? I mean, it takes the joy, frankly, probably out of the holidays. And that's what I want you to really think about is your relationship to the people and to the things you want to do. Again, we're going to talk about holidays. Maybe, anybody going to travel for the holidays? So think about that travel if you're not healthy and well. Might be way different, might not even happen. Things you like to do around the holidays. Maybe you're going to do fun stuff. I hope so. You're going to have a few days off and do fun. Think about doing that fun stuff. Maybe it's skiing, maybe it's snowshoeing, maybe it's, we're going to talk about some of that. But think about that if you lose your health and wellness, what that's going to look like. Because I'm convinced, I've been doing this for about 4 years, and I am convinced that I don't need to come and tell you what to do. I just want to convince all of us that it's worth doing. And it's worth doing because if you get in your mind why I care, maybe you'll do differently. For me, I do not particularly like physical activity. I'm not liking going to the gym. I'm not a swimmer. I'm definitely not a runner. I don't particularly like any of that. I would be just fine at home on the couch reading a good book or, frankly, binging on something on Netflix. But I try to get some physical activity. I try to get in the gym a couple of days a week. I have 4 adult sons and no grandkids, which is an issue. But I hope to have grandkids someday. I don't tell them that. I tell everybody else that because they are sons. But I hope to have grandkids someday, and I know that if I stay physically active, I might have the mental capacity to be engaged with them. Really honest. So I'm out there, I'm trying to get my steps, etc., because I don't want to give in willingly. Now, there may be things that stop me from being healthy that I can't control. Well, I might be in a car accident, going back to Topeka. I can't control that necessarily. But I want to control everything I can. I do not want to give in, and that's what I hope you will understand. So we have some issues that are in the time coming up in the holidays that I want to address. But let's talk about first, what do you really like about the holidays? Which honestly, the holidays started with the first food holiday we just passed, which was Halloween. It's the candy holiday, right? So we start out with Halloween as the candy holiday, and then we get to Thanksgiving, and then we get to whatever winter holiday you celebrate. Yours might be Christmas, it might be another one, but almost everyone has some kind of winter holiday. And then we wrap it up with New Year's. It's a big cycle, right? So what do you like about that? Just throw out some things. What do you like about that holiday cycle? Okay, family.
The food.
The what?
The food.
The food, the food. Food.
Time off.
Time off. Of any kind, right? Sure. The alcohol, whoops, beverages.
High five.
Yeah. Yeah.
The decorations.
Decorations. What else? That's it. The weather. There's, man. All right. Snow. What else? Shopping. Gifts.
Christmas
Programs.
Church activity.
Church. Music. All right. I have to love it.
Oh, no, I guess he does. Oh, I thought you said pie.
I know he said, I'm sure he said ties. He could have said pies. Okay.
I have a tie for every day from Thanksgiving
Nice.
to Christmas. So
How fun. A tradition. Awesome. Okay. What do you not like?
Weather.
The weather. All right. We're going to go over here with weather. We're going to go over here with shopping. Stress. We're definitely going to go over here with stress. Expenses.
Sweet desserts.
Sweets.
Well, I'm just saying, busyness.
Busy.
Sickness.
Okay, being sick. What else? I heard that. I'm going to put that up here. Family. It's true. It's true. It's true. No, you got to face that. Come on.
Well, and the loss of family members.
Absolutely. Super, super important that we don't ignore that. Now we're going to talk about that. Anything else? Wrapping presents. Anybody got that on the list? It's mine. Hate wrapping presents. Not going to do it anymore. Okay. Well, what I want you to think about is, I think this is really important. Again, I'm sure I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know. That we're going to talk about how do we stay healthy during the holidays? How do we stay on track and at managing that? Now, there are a few that I consider the big holiday risks. One of them, let's get real clear, folks, is weight gain. Statistically, across the board, we all gain weight during the holidays. On average, 1/2 to 1.8 pounds. And some people, if you're already overweight, you're going to gain more. It's just because that's kind of what goes on with you. And unfortunately, most of us don't lose that weight in the next year. We put it on, and they're like, oh gosh, here it is, winter. Winter's a weight gain challenge anyway. And we just don't take it off. And then we put on the next 2 to 4 pounds the next winter, don't take it off. It's that gradual incline. So this is not just about weight. I just don't want to lose sight of that's a really important thing that we need to be not losing sight of. Stress. I think this is a really, really big one. We could talk for an hour about this stress and the holidays, and I think it's an unrecognized and unappreciated problem that may be what contributes to the weight gain and a bunch of other things. But 7 out of 10 people report feeling overwhelmed and stressed during the holiday. During some point during the holiday, I'd say it's probably 10 out of 10 that the stress starts to get to you. And so we got to think about that. This is kind of an idea of being proactive to recognize this is going to happen. So what do we do about it? And then another one is accidents. You guys know this. Accidents just increase over the holidays. More travel, more hanging up Christmas lights, more toys and junk around the house, and people are in places where they're not normally in. So we might have kids in homes that are not childproof. And we definitely have coughs, colds that increase over the winter. Not sure exactly why that is, which is interesting. They've tried to do some research to say I worked in public health, worked in the Jefferson County Health Department for 20 years, and we used to tell people it's because we're all together. But research has said that's not really what's happening. There's something that goes on, but we definitely have more coughs and flus over the winter. So I really want us to think about, first of all, how do we get back to focusing on what the holidays are really about? For most of us, the holidays are that time to set aside to spend with family, friends, traditions, but to really focus in on that and try to minimize some of the other stuff. So, what ideas do you have? What do you do to manage the possible weight gain or the stress or the getting out of your routine? So what are some ideas? What do you typically do?
I'm going to be in charge, I help be in charge of cooking. I've been trying to get back on track with weight loss, and so I will cook the good stuff, but make sure there are alternates so I don't have to eat the bad stuff.
Absolutely, best strategy ever, which is, yes, there are certain holiday foods that I'm not missing, right? There's a few things that are like, I'm only going to have them this time of year, so I'm not going to miss out. But I just want to make sure that there's plenty of good, healthy, snacky foods around so that I'm not derailed all the time. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. How about portion control? Absolutely. Yes, have the fudge. Just don't eat the whole pan, right? Figure out, and I'm going to talk about some ideas for that.
Stop taking food home.
Absolutely. If you take food to a party, leave it there, right? Make them deal with it, right? And folks, when it comes to a work site, try not to make your work site a dumping grounds for your leftovers. And that actually is a policy that some work sites put into place because, I have two-thirds of a cake left, I'll just take it to work. Well, we don't need it at work either, thank you very much. So think about that. How about physical activity? What are your ideas? How do you stay active during the holiday season, the winter?
Make time for it.
So how do you make time for it?
It becomes a priority for me. If I don't, the stress will be, that's just a counteractive.
So do you put it on your calendar? Okay, so that's what I want you to tell me is, I put it on my calendar.
I mean,
Yep.
just make sure.
Make a block, yep. That it's just as important as some meeting or some other activity. What else?
And do it in the morning.
Get up and do it before your life gets so busy. Even if it's only a part of it, and I keep enforcing, just so important. Let's say, yeah, my trainer should say I should be in the gym for 45 minutes. I can only do 20 because it's just too busy, but if I just get there and do some, it's better than nothing.
I play volleyball during the wintertime.
Yay, good job. So you sign up intentionally for something that's going to get you out there being active.
Yep.
Very good. Pickleball, do you guys do pickleball in Hutch?
They have it at Elmdale.
So you might try that if you're looking for a new activity.
They have
I don't play it, but I hear people love pickleball.
pickleball chicken. It's fun, it's fun.
So in your home gym, how do you make sure you get some of that time in there?
I have a routine, I work out
Okay.
6 days a week.
Okay, so again, it's part of what you do, right? And if you're not doing it, then it feels weird because it is a habit. And we could do a whole session on habits, and maybe we will one of these months. But it is so important to figure out, how do I make it a habit? What is the trigger that gets me doing that?
I try to associate it with something I like. Like I'll have coffee while I'm doing yoga, so then I kind of look forward to it.
It's a great strategy. One of the best authors, and this isn't exactly what we're talking about here, but in terms of habits, he says pair it with something you know you're always going to do. So for instance, his point is, you know you're going to pour that cup of coffee in the morning like you're talking about. Make sure that you pair that 10 minutes of meditation with that cup of coffee, because you know you're going to do the coffee, and then you'll start to make that a habit too. How about managing the stress? What are your techniques? What are your ideas? What do you do?
Schedule.
So schedule more or schedule less?
Schedule more. Well, I'm not.
Be more
schedule
organized.
more into my
Okay.
calendar, but make sure that everything is scheduled so I
Yeah.
have that.
Okay.
know
So
what
you
I
have
need
a
to get
so you have a plan.
done.
So everything has its time allotment. What else? How do you manage the stress? Come on, folks. Stress is a big one.
Give yourself enough time.
Exercise.
Give yourself enough time. So try to allow time. Okay. Exercise, physical activity is absolutely a great strategy.
Forgive yourself for not meeting all your deadlines.
We're going to talk about that. I think that's a really important one. Okay. So let's talk about tradition. Those deadlines, those routines. Tradition, I love this. Tradition is the illusion of permanence. I personally think that tradition becomes some of the stress I have to deal with during the holidays. Because how many of you started doing something just because you thought, I'd kind of like to put up a second Christmas tree this year just for fun. Pretty soon you're always putting up a second Christmas tree. Or there's a million of them that you just started doing thinking this was a fun alternative addition, and pretty soon, did you let go of any of them? Do we stop doing any traditions, or are the traditions so ingrained that we can't stop doing certain ones? But our lives have changed. Maybe it's the Christmas holiday cards, maybe it's but think about your own routine. I just think it's really important that you think about, when it comes to the stresses of the holidays, we're so occupied. I don't want to say busy because I don't like that word, but we're so full but then I just think we just feel like even if we're not doing them, we're looking around going, I ought to be doing them. Facebook and Pinterest, shoot me down, because it just my Christmas tree should look that great. And it doesn't. I told you I hate wrapping presents. Look at the people who wrap these presents and they all match. But I think that's really important when it comes to the stresses of the holidays, that you give yourself permission. You're not going to get it all done. So let go of some of it and intentionally let go of some of it. It's not that important. The people, the time together, those things, that's what's important. It is not that all the presents match. Managing the stress, I do think your comment about putting on your calendars, planning ahead, does help. It really, if you're thinking, you're thinking already about the stresses of the Thanksgiving and the Christmas. If there's something you can cook this far ahead, cook it now. In my household, we typically have chili or something like that, one of those, either the before or the after. I could make an enormous pot of chili this weekend and put it in the freezer, and that's done. Check that box. anything you can to plan ahead. Get outside just because it manages your stress, and then prioritize and downsize. Really and truly make a list of all the things that are important to you, and then take 2 or 3 that are at the bottom, the least important, and take them off the list. You won't miss them. Super important to stay well during the holidays. Try to do your best to avoid those germs. So I gave you hand sanitizer, and then I gave you Kleenexes, so when you do have the cold, you can manage it. I do want to mention, so do you know, if I were to inoculate you in all of your orifices, your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, or any other orifices, if I were to inoculate you with the flu, influenza, where's the best route of communication? Which one's going to for certain get you sick? Mouth? Seems like the common one, right? It's not. It's your eyes. Your eyes, because you have no protection at all. And the reason I say that is you gotta wash your hands. Fall in love with washing your hands. Because how many times have you touched all the doorknobs and all of the surfaces and everywhere you've gone, and then you're sitting at your desk and your contacts aren't quite right, or you put your fingers in your eyes. It's a great way to get the flu. You may think, yes, it is definitely all of our coworkers who are coughing and sneezing all over us. So get a flu shot and stay hydrated and stay home. I think that says that. Anyway, get plenty of sleep. All of those things, you know that. And stay home when you're sick. But truly, this is one of the important ones, right? Because I don't want to miss out on the holiday fun because I'm home with the flu. So don't bring it to work, and then do everything you can to avoid getting sick. Eat healthy. So remember I told you we all gain weight over the holidays? Your best strategy right now, do not go on a diet right now. Seriously. But just set a goal to not gain. This is the time when I'm going to eat healthy on all the days I can. On the days when that wonderful pumpkin pie shows up, I'm going to have some pumpkin pie because I'm not getting it the rest of the year. But I'm going to do my best to get on the scales every couple of days and make sure I'm not putting on weight, because this is the time I want to maintain. I'm not going to get crazy about trying to lose a pound or 2. I just want to make sure I stay on track. And to do that is to make sure you're eating as healthy as you can the time that you're around. Keeping plenty of healthy foods, snacks around. Fill up on vegetables when you're having the holiday dinner, you're at the buffet, you're at the party at work. Fill up on the fruits and vegetables. Be the one who brings the fruits and vegetables. You know, roast up a big pan full of vegetables. Bring those to the holiday meal. So then you know there's going to be at least something there that I think is delicious and is also going to fill me up and not be terribly caloric. And then I can still have the piece of pumpkin pie. Plan ahead. I already said these things. Refrigerate or freeze the extra. Don't take it home. But you might put it in the freezer. You know, if you do have leftovers or something that if you can, or if you're making stuff to give away, I think that's on here too, put it in the freezer so it's not just sitting on the kitchen counter for you to just snack on all the time. This one, so you can gather that I wrote a lot of this. I think this is really important. Ask people what's really important that we have at these holiday dinners. If your family is absolutely, you know, grandma's yams with the pineapple and that's what we got to have, then have that. But if there are some of the dishes that people are like, well, it's always kind of nice to have around, but I don't care that much about it, then don't make it. Do a little survey and find out what do people really, really value and focus in on those things. You don't have to have everything available. Avoid making foods nobody really cares about. Oh, this one, so try to keep the access to this. Lots of us bake and cook at the holidays for treats and things to give away and take to parties and things like that. Just limit your accessibility. So if you're making the cookies now for the holiday season, again, put them in the freezer in containers that aren't easy to get in, way at the back, down in the basement, you know. So, because I'm not above eating a frozen cookie, but make it difficult so that it's not just sitting on the counter for you to access. Or if you're that kind of organization, just make enough to give away, and so you're not tempted, because it's not having it around. If I've got cookies on my kitchen counter, especially if they're peanut butter, I'm going to eat them. If they're not available, I'll eat something else that's healthier. This is not important enough for you to pay attention to, except that if you are cooking at the holidays, do some Googling about how can I lower the calories, decrease the sugar, decrease the fat in whatever foods. You know, when your grandmother made that recipe for whatever it was 60 years ago, she didn't have low-fat Greek yogurt, and she didn't have other oils and things to access. So when you're making, recipes, look, there are great scientific cooks out there who've come up with fabulous substitutes in order to make things much healthier for us, decreasing the sugar and fat in particular. So do some Googling for your holiday recipes to find those resources. Okay, you're going to a party. You're going to a party. How are you going to manage that eating a little healthier when you're at that party? They got a big buffet. What do you say? So fill yourself up before you go. Be well hydrated. Eat something before you go. Do not get up on Thanksgiving morning and say, I'm not having breakfast because I'm going to have plenty of time later to eat on. First of all, I hope you know this. You know how your mother said breakfast is the most important meal of the day? In terms of weight management, breakfast is hugely important because your body needs to get its metabolism started. If you don't eat breakfast, your metabolism is just asleep, it's still asleep. And then when you load it up on a whole bunch of calories, it's already asleep and it's not charged up and working. So you need to get up and eat, a low fat, some protein, low carb, high fiber, something healthy in the morning to get that digestion started, to get your metabolism started. So it's ready to go when you eat that giant meal. And it really does matter. So you want to eat something before you go. Take a healthy dish with you. When it comes to, get that physical activity in before you go to the party, you're going to feel better about yourself and have used up some calories. Don't take your temptation home with you. If you took the pumpkin pie, leave it with your host. How about this one? Wear something close fitting. Don't wear your sweatpants to dinner, right? Because if you do, you're going to overeat. If you wear your tightest dress, ladies, guys, if you wear your belt, you're not going to eat as much. About the buffet, so the buffet, when you start down the buffet, take a small plate. You can always come back, but you know this. The bigger the plate, the more obviously food you can put on it. But if you don't put a lot of food on it, you think you're not getting very much to eat. If you take a little plate and you put some small portions on it, fill up that plate, your brain thinks you've take this giant plate of food. And when you finish that plate of food, your brain just said you finished it. If you take a big plate, take a big plate and put a little. So in my house for a long time, we had these big blue plates. No pattern, no nothing. I don't know why I bought them. But when you put food on them, you put a little chicken breast, you put a few green beans, you put a little potatoes, everything looked so lonesome. You had to put more just because it all looked like you weren't getting enough food. It's very deceiving, and your brain does tricks to you. So if you start out with a small plate, put some small portions on it, and then you enjoy yourself and visit while you're eating it, you maybe had just enough food by the time you finish that. Be selective. Look at the entire buffet or the entire Christmas dinner or whatever it is and decide what are the things you really, really want. And when it is the candied yams with the pineapple that Grandma made and it is your favorite thing, you definitely should eat it. But if somebody brought a corn casserole and you're just mediocre about that, don't eat it. Eat the best food and just let go. If somebody brought some dinner rolls from Dillon's, do not eat them. It is not worth it. Go for the really good stuff. And I think we fall in that trap all the time. You start at the one end of the buffet, you take a little this, you take a little that, you take a little this, and you get to the end and you're like, I really want some of that too. And I have already had this big full plate. So I think it's really a stretch. Be sure you're also going dancing, get some physical activity, get plenty of fruits and vegetables while you're at it. All right, physical activity. Who has a holiday physical activity tradition? I know somebody does. Thanksgiving, Christmas. What's your tradition?
Run on Thanksgiving morning.
So you go for your own run or you join like a 5K or something?
Join.
Okay, so a lot of communities have 5Ks on Thanksgiving morning. Look and see. Google, see if has Hutch got one?
They did.
Can I join?
I think they lost it this year.
Yeah.
Just can eat instead.
Okay, well, there's one in Topeka, so you can always come up there. But lots of communities will have 5Ks, but maybe you plan your own with your own family, right? Anybody else? Seriously, nobody plays football on Thanksgiving Day? I just thought that was common. Now, what I really want you to think about is you should start a tradition. Whatever your Thanksgiving or Christmas is, start a tradition. We're going to, on that day, whoever's coming, you tell them, bring your walking shoes, Bring your whatever. After we eat or before we eat, we're going for a big long walk, or we're going to go outside and play touch football, or we're going to play frisbee, or we're going to play bocce, or we're going to. If you plan it, it increases the likelihood it'll happen by a whole bunch, right? If you don't plan it, nobody will brought their shoes, they won't have brought the right coats, they won't be ready, and everybody will be like, oh, I'm just going to lay down in front of the TV, and then nothing happens. So just really plant the seed. Be the one who says, after dinner on Thanksgiving or before dinner, we're going for a walk. So bring your shoes and plan on it and plan it in the schedule. Alcohol was spoken to. Definitely the holidays are a time when we tend to see alcohol more available. It certainly is celebration, and I'm not going to discount that. Just to encourage you to realize that the more complex the drink, the more fancy sweet stuff is in it, the more calories there are. So limiting yourself to simpler beverages. And then also pair them with other things. So you're at a party for the entire evening and you're having wine, have a sparkling water, have wine, try to spread it out. Just because there's so many calories in the alcohol we drink. This one, I just want to remind us all, just beware of what you're encountering. So typically most of us kind of operate on around 2,000 calories in a day. And if I get up and I eat my usual pattern of foods, and then I'm also going out to dinner, and I'm also going to eat the fudge that my husband can't avoid, and I just need to know I truly am adding a ton of calories. Again, I'm not going to tell you folks to not do it. I'm just going to tell you be really aware of it. So then hopefully the next day you're not just continuing to overeat and overdo over and over again. Try not to stop doing your physical activity during the holidays. Try to stay on track. Maybe increase your activity. Maybe think about more physical activity. If you've got holiday lights in town, go walk and see them. Think about fitness-related gifts. Maybe you're wanting one to put on your list, or maybe there are people in your family. If you have Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas, if you know Blue 365, it's a great place to buy some fitness, health-related things. I got my Garmin for 30% off on Blue 365. So if you've got people on your list, go through your Blue Access account. It's called Blue 365. You can get some great deals there. Try something new for winter. Maybe that's where you try like volleyball, whatever it was I said, or maybe something outside new. When you're shopping, now I think this is kind of funny now because we don't really have malls. You even have a mall here, but think about when you're shopping, maybe your shopping takes you to the big box places, Lowe's or somewhere. And when you go in, you're stopping in to get a poinsettia, well, take 2 or 3 laps around inside or the parking lot. Just get more steps. Park farther away. Try to get more sleep. Try to do something active every day and do something on your lunch break. Maybe make a pact with everybody in your area that particularly during this month, we're going to get a walk every day at lunch. Maybe you'll start something that you'll keep doing, or maybe you want to say it's at 10:30. 10:30, there's a group I work with that does a 10 at 10. Everybody in the bank either walks at 10 or at 10:15 for 10 minutes. And that's just a routine, and everybody's looking forward to it. Everybody does it. So you might think about that. Questions, comments, ideas that came up while I was talking? Anything? Before I let you go, I want to step into one for a second that I really don't have that much about on our slides, but I do want to own that please be respectful of people in your community who have lost people this year, who the holidays are going to be really difficult for. You may be that person that I'm speaking to. It may not have been just during this year, but holidays are difficult. I think that's the opportunity to change things up, especially if you know someone who maybe is going to be having some difficulty. See if you can invite them to your house. I was so grateful. We always, in my entire, my entire lifetime, we went to my mother's for Thanksgiving, every single Thanksgiving. All of my sons and I, we would all go there. The year after she died, thank goodness, my oldest son said, hey, we're having Thanksgiving in Kansas City. This was at my cousin's. And I'm like, had not thought about that. I had not initiated it. He initiated it, and it was a godsend because it was different. And then I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to deal with it. It wasn't. And I just think it's so important because we think about the holidays as being a time of celebration, and it certainly is. But for a lot of us in our communities, it is a time of loss, or it is a time of being alone. And so think about that. Reach out, and is there somebody out there that maybe you could invite over to your place, or you could invite to go with you to something, because that is really, really challenging. I remind you, I know you already know this because you already use it for some of your points and things, but your small card talks about our nurses at Blue Cross and Blue Shield who can help you manage health conditions. If this fits you, you should definitely sign up. We have lovely women who work right there in the Topeka area. If you sign up to work with our nurses to help coach you on any of these challenges, you'll work with the same nurse the whole time. You'll work with Heidi or Audra or Anna, get to know them, they'll get to know you. They are fabulous programs, and I really encourage you. Stress might be the one you want to work with them on this time of year, or one of these others, maybe during a New Year's resolution. Okay, thanks everybody, thanks for
Do we need
coming.
to sign up anywhere?
For the nurse coaching?
No.
Oh, for this class? I don't know, does anyone know? I think you're getting some sort of reward, right? Anybody got a pen and a piece of paper? We'll have you sign up just in case.
That's good to know how they're gonna.
How about we take one of those big sticky notes and everybody sign it, and then Heather can take it back?
Here's a pad of paper.
Let me start.
Yes, sounds like a great idea.
They were 100% clear that we needed to sign.
All right, well, we just don't have any representative with authority here.